Hello and welcome to another exciting episode of the Film Mandate, where I bring to you movie news, reviews, and reactions, both from the African front and the international scene. And in today's episode of the Film Mandate, Marvel has gone on to announce the potential release of Daredevil in an annual fashion right through to 2027 on a March monthly, calendar. And the possibility of the defenders actually showing up in the Daredevil series. And also, DC has made progress on the dynamic duo. And when we talk about the dynamic duo, not what you may be thinking about, not Batman and Robin, but we'll be delving into that story as well. And also, last but not the least, the Cairo Film Festival has unveiled a new wave of filmmakers with unique voices that is shaping the cinematic landscape in the Middle East region. So we'll be talking about all these stories and more right here on the Film Mandate. My name is Papa Utu. Stay tuned. Hello and welcome back to the Film Mandate. And in today's episode, the first story, Marvel actually is embarking on a potential annual release of its property, the Daredevil. And when we talk about the Daredevil, for those who happen to watch the very first one, you knew how exciting it was. For some or for most, potentially, depending on who you speak to, the finale episode wasn't what they expected. But for those who had or felt the ramblings of what it potentially means and the rambles of it means that there was going to be the possibility of the Defender saga, as when the Daredevil, that is Charlie Cox's Daredevil, faced off against the what's it called? Pardon me, I'm messing out on his name, but Kingpin. The one of the dialogue that was said was that it is about time perhaps they have their own team to face off against perhaps the crime syndicate again, I mean, of Kingpin. So teases of what may happen in the next season of Daredevil would have potentially the defenders being introduced. And it is an exciting news all around. So let's take a quick look at an article published in the direct that gave us more information as to what these announcement means. And in the direct, Marvel Studios announces historic release for fourth chapter of its Netflix reboot. Marvel Studios is revitalizing the Netflix Marvel saga, and the fourth installment marks a special release for the company. There in your shorts, we have The Defenders. And then we move on, and the article says that Marvel Studios has fully taken over Netflix's Defender saga, and the fourth chapter of this revitalization will mark franchise history on Disney Plus. After the rights to the characters in Netflix's series returned to Marvel, it was thought that the likes of Daredevil, Jessica Jones, The Punisher, Iron Fist, and Luke Cage might be dead. Fans were overjoyed then to learn that Marvel intended to continue at least one of these series, with Daredevil Born Again bringing back the same cast for a sequel show. The premiere date for Daredevil Born Again Season 2 has been confirmed for March 2026, a year after the first season debuted on Disney Plus. Following that, Season 3 of Daredevil Born Again, which is technically the fourth chapter in this Netflix reboot, including 2026's The Punisher Special, has already been greenlit. Marvel TV executive Brad Winderbaum's comments to Agents of Fandom confirmed that Daredevil Born Again is an annual release every March, meaning fans can expect season 3 in March 2027. This is a historic moment for Marvel Studios, as Daredevil Born Again's March 2027 release will mark the first time the company has released 3 seasons of the same show within 2 years. The series' consistent annual releases in March provide a streamlined structure that no other MCU TV show has received to date. This reflects the new strategy from Marvel Television, which intends to treat the MCU's TV slates like a more traditional model, while some of Marvel's TV shows on Disney Plus have released 3 seasons or are confirmed to have 3 seasons in the future. Daredevil Born Again will be the first Marvel Studios produced show to reach the historic milestone of regular annual release drops. And the article goes on to talk about all the TV series that has received a trilogy treatment or will receive a trilogy treatment in terms of the number of seasons. And that is quite exciting to know, seeing that, just as the article has already indicated, when the rights reverted back to Marvel from Netflix, potentially most people or all of us thought, or most of us thought that the Marvel TV, saga with regards to the Defenders is done and dusted. Or even potentially, if it's going to be revived, it's going to involve a new set of actors reprising, I mean, taking, shoes, taking the place of, the actors we have come to love. But things changed when we had Daredevil, movie, or sorry, the Daredevil TV series made for Netflix titled Born Again, and it actually went through a number of reshoots or an overhaul remake. But they resorted, because the overhaul remake was to pivot from what the Netflix team did with the Defenders, be it Daredevil, Jessica Jones, Iron Fist, and Luke Cage. But then, pardon me, they, one way or the other, came to a decision that the Netflix series is perhaps the best, way to go with it. So they followed in that particular, saga, or that particular, direction. But what excited us most was the fact that several rumors kept on going as to the potential revival of not just, the Daredevil as we watched this year, but also maybe Luke Cage, Jessica Jones, not so sure about even. I mean, these were all rumors to an extent. Well, when we saw Frank Castle's, that, or John Benthal's Frank Castle in Daredevil, we now felt that there is the potential that more of these is going to happen. And for those who watch the finale of the Daredevil series, you know what I'm talking about. The idea of going to find a team to fight the crime, organization of Kingpin in, is it Hell's Kitchen, means that all the superhero friends we know that he knows, apart from Spider-Man, which is in the film universe, we know that the superpower friends he has or he has worked with before is none other than the Defenders. And that is quite exciting. As to whether that is going to be the case, we are yet to see when, come next year, March 2026, the season 2 of Daredevil ends up showing on the Disney Plus streaming service. So that is something we are looking forward to. But I think the exciting aspect of this is the annual release schedule being pioneered by Disney Plus again on their streaming platform. As well as they've never done that before with regards to releasing a season a year in a regular fashion as they intend to do with this. And I think that is quite exciting. And that, I know for sure, is going to change the landscape, pro- provided it influences the viewing numbers or the subscriptions for Netflix. And if it becomes a very big win, I'm sure other studios would like to follow in the same suit, regardless of how difficult of a production time that may be. But then that is indeed quite good news to have heard, as fans indeed will be happy to be entertained on the small screen as they wait for what would transpire on the big silver screen. So that is quite exciting to see. Seeing that, I think next year we're going to have Avengers Doomsday way in the latter part of this year. I don't know whether that will be a December schedule. Well, regardless, I know it's not going to happen in the first quarter. So diehard fans of Marvels are going to be treated to some tintillating, pardon me, I should just use some simple words, with some mouth-watering Daredevil TV series, particularly when the defenders are introduced in it. And regardless of how Sam performed, it looks like over a period of time, fans got endeared to the actors as well as the characters. So it will be nice to see all of them come back. And I'm sure under the maybe expect direction of a director or a showrunner that understands the stories very well or the source material very well, they may be able to redeem the characters to an extent that potentially they could even introduce them in the films if they so choose to. So I am excited about this. I don't know about you. Let me know what you think. What are your hopes for seeing Daredevil and Kingpin's rivalry continue in an MCU? I mean, in the MCU that now includes the Avengers, and the Punisher is also getting a special treatment. What do you think about it? How R-rated do you want that Marvel, you know, property to go? Let me know that. And also, particularly as it's going to end up on Disney Plus, do you think that would be the right decision to go about it? Let me know. And also, is releasing a new season of a show every year a good model, or does it risk oversaturation of the superhero content market? Whatever your thoughts may be, kindly leave it in the comment section below. And now, moving from Marvel, we now move to the most highly competitive property within that comic book movie space, and that has to do with the DC universe. And when James Gunn took over from, you know, when the reboot happened, a number of productions were mentioned to be pursued. And I think along the line, particularly if I'm not mistaken, early this year, a story was purported to be in development, and that was the dynamic duo, which happens to take place in the Batman family saga. As a matter of fact, when it was announced, most people cast their mind to Batman and Robin, as they happen to be the regular dynamic duo who always seem to be working together if Batman is not working solo. So that is the thought that a lot of us assume that that's how the story is going to go. But no, this has to do with two Robins, and this indeed is the story going to be between Jason Todd, Red Hood, as well as the Grayson's Nightwing, and that is quite exciting to see. And this particular story is exciting because it will be approaching it from an angle that perhaps has never been done on the live screen before. So, with that, I'd like us to take a quick read as to what this development of the progress on this particular production is about. And even though it's been announced way back, the progress on this is a casting announcement on talent who are going to participate in this production, whether be it voice or acting. And this is captured in the superhero or on the superhero website. And this is what it has to say. Upcoming Batman family movie from DC gets big update. The DC movie slate is expanding with new updates surrounding its Batman family projects. After months of limited news on the Caped Crusaders universe, one long awaited feature has finally moved forward in development. The latest announcement signals the next major step for an ambitious new entry in DC's growing lineup of Gotham centered stories. And the Dynamic Duo receives casting updates. DC Studios' Dynamic Duo has officially begun its casting process, marking the first update in months for the upcoming Batman project. According to a post by Swaybox Studios on Instagram, the team will start accepting online auditions on November 15, 2025. The studio invited performers to participate in puppet-based animation roles, asking, have you ever dreamed of performing in a DC Studios movie? And this is the Instagram post that they shared. So the announcement post included the first footage from Dynamic Duo, which became the earliest official preview for a DC film the clip arrived more than 960 days before the movie's scheduled release. It showed a station wagon driving through a rain-soaked city before crashing into a concrete pillar. And it is quite exciting, but this gives provides more information as to those behind it as well. But yeah, so this particular development is quite exciting, seeing that the dynamic duo earlier this year was talked about to be in development, but we never really heard anything about it till finally this particular announcement, which took place, I think, on November 9th. And it's quite exciting to know that progress has been made. And this has been perhaps announced already. The studio, Sway Box Studios, who is working on this particular production. I think they worked on F, Imaginary Friends, starring Ryan Reynolds, and also directed by John Krasinski. They are the ones actually working on it, and they are going to embark on a number of strategy in making this particular production. And they are looking at puppetry kinds of animation together with stop motion and CGI. So they're going to fuse all these together. And if you watch the test footage that they shared online, that is quite exciting. Let me see if I can actually show it. It's very, very exciting, and it looks quite formidable. The first time I heard about it, I wasn't so sure. I mean, I know I've watched Kubo and the Two Strings, which I think Kubo and the Two String. I'm not sure whether it's Disney or so, but Kubo and the Two String was expertly done, even though it was a puppet. No, was it a puppet? It was a stop motion animation and was done so well. The fighting sequences was excellent. There's been several films, Gromit and Wallace, and several animated films that have been, where the stop motion technique has been used to capture quite exciting stories. But what made me not to be so sure as to what they are embarking on was the fact that whether we've over the years there's been several animated films covering the Batman saga family or even Batman himself, and we have seen how even though the animation is 2D drawn limited animation, it still gives us a thrill that perhaps stop motion wouldn't be able to capture one way or the other. But one way or the other, this is actually going to be a feature film, so I mean they're going to approach it with that level of production value that ordinarily may not be given, to a TV series. Even though we live in an era where TV series are receiving such wonderful treatment or approach to it, so it's quite exciting to see that that is what they are embarking on. And currently, one of the things that they are looking at, just as I've already reiterated, is the stop motion approach together with puppetry and CGI. And it is indeed amazing if you watch the video. Let me see if I can show it again. This time around, the Instagram, I don't know whether it will be able to show, pardon me. But yeah, the Instagram reel shows something exciting. I'm hoping, okay, it looks like I will not be able to show it here. But you should, I will leave the link in the description section below so that you can take a look, click on it and watch it. But it's really, really thrilling what they have done, or what that test footage that they showed was really exciting. So I don't know about you, but I'm thrilled about this. But I think what excites me the most is the fact that they are blending these two stories, these two um, apprentices, so to speak, of Batman who have had their own different experiences. And, Red Hood seems to lean more towards villainy, whilst, Nightwing approaches crime fighting almost the same as Batman, but from the standpoint of a little bit playfulness and flirty with the girls, I mean, so to speak. And so this story will be quite exciting to see. As and now, what happens is that the footage, sorry, we so this, as we know, will be done by Swaybox Studios, and then Arthur Mintz directs Dynamic Duo. He will be the director on it. Arthur Mintz, would direct the dynamic duo, which Matt Reeves, Seth, and Idaho Banner produces following its announcement in October 2024. So that is how long it was announced. So actually, it's way before the time I said they announced it in. We're also going to have Scott Newstada and Michael H. Weber revising the script. And the story follows the Grayson and Jason Todd, the first two Robins, as they begin their partnerships in Gotham City. And James Gunn has spoken on this, and it is how he's not so certain, even though he's excited about this particular project, it's not so certain as to whether this would fit within the DCU universe. Even though Matt Reeves is the one producing, it doesn't look like it's part of his universe, but rather it is part of, I mean, how that is going to fit into this DCU, or potentially it might just be an elsewhere story not connected to any other property that is ongoing at the moment. And this is what he said exactly, that there might be a way it might fit into the DCU. I would love for this animated puppet movie to be a part of the DCU, but the story is unique, and so it may not work within our universe. So that is what it has to say. And I'm sure if it is Matt Reeves producing this, it may be on the gritty side. I'm looking at what he's doing with the Batman at the moment, and definitely it's not going to work within the Batman universe in the animation unless it is an alternate universe, which I don't know how audiences or diehard fans of the Batman will feel to have this part of the whole DC universe. So it is quite interesting, but I think maybe after they are done with the production, that is when perhaps James Gunn may decide as to whether to make it a part of the DCU or leave it be to be its own property. So it is quite exciting to have had progress on this particular production. And I don't know about you, but I'm excited to see this. I think I watched a number of animations that had the, I think I've forgotten. It had Joker killing Jason Todd, and then Jason Todd, who was thought to be dead, was revived by Richard Ghoul. And then when Richard Ghoul revived him, he sort of went on a path on his own, deciding to kill and fight against every crime syndicate in Gotham. So that's quite an interesting story. Before you had the Batman together with Dick Grayson coming to fight against him. So it is quite an interesting story to watch. Definitely, it's not going to be the same way. I think the approach may be a little different since they are pairing these two. I don't know whether it's going to have Batman feature in it, but then to have these two pair up to embark on a journey of their own, that would be quite interesting to see. As their character, in a way, seems a little bit of a polar opposites. I mean, yes, they all fight crimes, but the philosophy with which they fight the crimes are entirely two different things. Red Hood doesn't mind killing. The Grayson minds killing. Almost like the Grayson is more like a friendlier version of Batman. He minds killing, but Red Hood doesn't. So I don't know about you, but I'm excited about this. Let me know what you think, because this will actually, so this may actually focus on the early days of Dick Grayson and Todd Phillip, Jason Todd as Robin. I don't know whether they will go full bloom into that, but whatever the case may be, um, I think definitely it's going to go to that level where they grow fully into their own, and then adopt these philosophies in dealing with criminals in Gotham. So let me know what you think. Are you more excited to see a story focused on the Robins rather than the Batman himself? Or does the idea of a potential puppet animation style appeals to you? Does it intrigue you? Does it turn you off entirely? And would you prefer the film, you know, to sit firmly inside the entire DCU, or perhaps separate unique story? Whatever your thoughts may be, kindly leave it in the comment section below. So we are done with stories from Hollywood. Now we journey to Africa, specifically Egypt, where interesting, news is developing as one of the perhaps I should even dare say that perhaps that's the oldest film industry on the continent. That is with the Egypt film industry, which is said to have properly started around 1907, but they had cinemas in the 1890s. They had cinemas in the 1890s. So the Egypt film industry has seen quite, I mean, it's been over a century in existence. And not just that, they've had quite a number of success along the line. But in recent times, it doesn't seem that it has been at its peak golden age season. However, with the recently organized Cairo Film Festival, it looks like they have discovered a new wave of filmmakers who are redefining the country's cinematic identity or landscape, and also changing, how the region tell their stories. And that is quite exciting to see. And in an article published in the Variety, on the Variety website, it speaks a little bit more about the 2025 Cairo International Film Festival, and how this is shaping. They are trying to reclaim rather than revive the film industry. It's going to be a lengthy read, but pardon me, it has some interesting things that we could, glean from. Pardon me if you still hear some sounds or noise around, is because it's raining. So pardon me for that. So that goes on to say that Egypt's new wave redefines the country's cinematic identity at Cairo Film Festival. And let's just capture briefly. So at this year's Cairo International Film Festival, Egyptian filmmakers arrive not just to premiere their films, but to stake, uh, but to stake a claim in the country's cinematic future. Once the beating heart of Arab cinema, Egypt's industry is no longer defined by its commercial past or nostalgic golden age. Instead, uh, sorry, it's been reimagined by a generation that views filmmaking not as a revival but reclamation. Across the festival's lineup and its Cairo Film Festival pitching platform, directors are crafting a cinema that is at once personal, political, and daring. And that is the approach that they are going with this particular film festival. And I think if we go further to read some of the films that they have made over the years, you realize how exciting, or they actually showcased at this particular event. You realize how powerful of the filmmakers that they have become, or they are getting within that region. And the approach is not, it's not mainly for entertainment, like having a revival, of a film industry that goes on to entertain people entirely. But it looks like they are speaking to matters that bothers them in the region and humanity at large. And let's see if we can pick a few of them captured on the website. So pardon me, let me just get it ready. Yeah, so a few that was captured on the website. I just want to go straight to those stories. There's a lot that they said, and then your short is it your nam? Um, I'm blanking out the name, but that is a I have other friends director. I think it's a documentary produced by Yomna Katab, and we're gonna read his as well. And central to this particular festival is that they've seen a number of female filmmakers, making very powerful stories. So those are captured as well in this particular article. So briefly, sorry, pardon me. Let's read the first one. So in the international feature competition of the Cairo International Film Festival, we have one more show 2025 made by Maisad Ahmed Al Danaf, Egypt, Palestine, produced by Babo Bakshi, pardon me, and Safei Eldin Mahmoud. Shot under bombardment in Gaza. Wow, that is amazing. I mean, to be shooting whilst the bombardment was going on. Wow. So it goes on to say that one more show follows the Free Gaza circus as they perform for displaced children amid devastation. Co-directed by Egyptian filmmaker Mai Saad and Gazan cinematographer Ahmed Al-Danaf, the feature documentary stands as both testimony and act of defiance. So, wow, I mean, that would be some high tensed, high. I mean, I wouldn't say octane, but the to be shooting this whilst the bombardment is going on, not knowing whether you may even live to see another day, that is quite some bravery. That wow. I mean, that's the best description I can give to it. It's quite a bravery that I don't know most whether most people can do that. But anyway, they go on to say that we created this film under continuous bombardment and the constant threat of genocide, says Aldernath. His hope is that viewers see how deeply we love life and how we do not wish for death. The result is a haunting portrait of resilience, resistance, a reminder that even in war, art remains an act of survival. So yeah, I mean, it's unfortunate that these things are happening on whichever side that may be. I mean, just as they said, we are for life, we are not for death. And it's unfortunate that this is happening in that region. But I like the fact that they, in the midst of all this, they were bent on entertaining children who are going through some hardships and capturing them for viewers to see. And wow, it's not easy. But anyway, it goes on to also talk about several other stories as well. Let me just jump to Yomnam Katab's story, which I feel is also very powerful. There are several stories here which I don't think, for lack of time, I'll be able to cover all. But yeah, this is her story, which I feel is very powerful. It says the title is also a documentary, which is still in development. It says that I have other friends, and this Yomna Katabs from Egypt, and it says that in I have other friends, documentarian Yomna Katab turns the camera inward, embarking on an unflinching exploration of female friendship, adulthood, and the passage of time. Blending diary correspondence and confessional, the project revisits the filmmaker's friendships with five close friends as she approaches 40. It's a coming of age story that happens later in life, says Katab. Poetic and personal, the film continues Egypt's long tradition of intimate nonfiction reimagined for a generation, redefining connection and womanhood. So, yeah, it is indeed quite a unique story. Quite a unique story. So, yeah, there's a lot of stories that they've shared, quite a number of them that I will leave in the article in the description section below for you to take a look at. But I like how it is not just a revival of an industry, but more so a reclamation of what makes them unique as a people or as a culture in that region, because it is not, I mean, it is very easy to tell stories that entertain because it doesn't tread on certain, edgier grounds whatsoever. But most of these stories are sort of painting the picture that is personal to people, what they are going through, what the cultural perspective of these issues are. And I think more than ever, the power of media can be seen when, in particular, these stories are told for people to know that despite all the entertainment we may be experiencing online, there are still pertinent issues we deal with as humans every day. Because there are certain stories that when you watch, depending on how well it was crafted, it will resonate your style, your life. You can relate to it depending on what you are going through. However, most stories that are biographical or documentary in a way hits very hard at home, as the stories are not fictionalized in no way of shape or form. It is told as it is, and that is what Yomnon's own story is very personal, as the camera is turned inward to deal with growth, friendship, and the passage of time. I mean, still growth. So it does speak to stories that ordinarily most people may not be used to. But I think in the times we find ourselves in, it is good to talk about these things via the lens of a camera. And I'm glad that they are doing that in that region. Hopefully, after this is done, I'm sure they should be able to put it on a platform that is very accessible to a lot of people, so that wherever you may be in the world, you'll get access to it and watch it. So that is the new Egyptian wave embarking on a reclamation story rather than a revival story of their industry. One of the oldest, if not the oldest, I think actually it is the oldest film industry in the world. And I'm happy that they are also embarking on the charge of not just reviving an industry, but having a unique voice that they will be known for. And that is quite exciting for this particular episode. So let me know what you think. Why is it important for global audiences to pay attention to film movements outside of Hollywood? Those are key questions we need to ask ourselves. And also, how do you think personal, intimate stories from specific cultures can resonate with people everywhere? And that is what the power of film should do. And last but not least, let me ask this last question: what responsibility do international streaming services have in promoting and distributing these kinds of films? Whatever your thoughts may be, kindly leave it in the comment section below. And all too soon, I've come to an end of this episode of the Film Mandate. Thanks for joining me, and I hope you were entertained and you enjoyed this very episode. I'll be coming your way again with another excited episode, soon. Yeah, another excited episode. So stay tuned for that one as well. By the way, thanks once again for joining me. I do not take for granted your audience. I'll be coming your way again with another exciting episode. My name is Papa O2, and this has been the Film Mandate. I'll see you soon.